I'm going to call the meeting to order. We're starting tonight with a public hearing, proposed amendments to the Little Compton Home Rule Charter to approve on the ballot for November 3rd, 2026 general election. In the public hearing, I'll invite folks to come to the podium. Please introduce yourself, and I'll ask that you try to keep your remarks brief because we have a very lengthy agenda tonight. A council discussion on the proposed amendments appears later in our agenda under New Business 1, and this will provide another opportunity for your comment. So I open the floor for comment.
I have one speaking. I think we should look to the flag after the public hearing. Would you like to do that first?
Oh, I was following.
I know you are, Victoria. I'm not trying to throw in a wrench, but it's up to you.
Yeah, let's just do it. Okay, sure. Salute to the flag, folks. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So now we are in the public hearing, so we invite your comments. Step up to the podium if you have something to share.
Well, I can't stop myself. Larry Anderson, and I will try to be as brief as I can.
Can't hear you.
Speak into the microphone. Can you hear
Is
me?
it on, Larry?
What?
Is the green light on?
Green light appears to be on. Please do not. Oh,
There you go.
I touched the thing that says, please do not touch.
That could be you, Larry.
You're kicked out now.
I attended quite a few of the Charter Review Commission's early meetings, though not some of their more recent ones. So I can attest that they address their responsibilities in a business-like, disciplined, and collegial manner in which all members conscientiously participate. They welcome the opinions and suggestions of citizens who attended, and they engaged in vigorous discussion and lengthy discussion on some important subjects. And importantly, their proposals include detailed and concrete provisions to address concerns that have arisen recently about town governmental financial accountability and procedures. The Commission's members, all volunteers, deserve our gratitude for their efforts. For myself, I just wanted to focus, had a few comments about some of their recommendations with which I have a direct experience. I have only recently had a chance to really focus on this, so they're not substantial, but I felt I needed to address them. The first one is the section 103, town property, which calls for, are these going to be projected in any way? This would help, I think.
And there are copies in the back of the room. If they're already handed out, I just ask that you share with your neighbor. I think we have several copies.
So this is the section that's been in the charter since its inception with regard to disposition of town property and the financial town meeting's authority to vote on a variety of transactions. One of the proposals adds the word lease of real and intangible property. I'm concerned about the addition of the term intangible here and the meaning of the term in the context of this article. The history of this and the fundamental purpose of this has dealt with real property, buildings and land, and it's been invoked quite frequently really over the years, most recently at the current town meeting where the voters authorized the council to renegotiate and renew the lease of the former Grange building to the community center. So it hasn't been a matter of importance at the town meeting. I may not understand the purpose of this, but without a definition in the context of this article about what is meant by intangible property, I think that term is a loaded one which may lead to confusion in the future. That's just a comment. The other addition they propose here, town-owned property must be maintained in compliance with current local and state building codes. I understand the purpose and reason for that. This is the kind of language in a charter that's, in my opinion, sort of aspirational and an exhortation. It's not clear. It may have some legal effect if there were a dispute, but it's not clear to me that it would necessarily have much enforcement power. But I understand the reason it's there. So that's my comment about 103. Section 301, heading for which is date and purpose of financial town meeting. Let's see. It proposes a new section C. So if we can scroll down to section C. Which would authorize the Board of Canvassers to establish the times for voting in elections to take place concurrently with financial town meeting. This question arose this year, and the town clerk had to clarify it for the purpose of extending the hours, opening the polls earlier than had been the case. So I think this is a worthy thing to include. One question I have, and it won't be in this packet, is whether this should more appropriately be in section 204 of the charter, which is elections to office at financial town meeting, and includes which includes specific reference to the Board of Canvassers' role in conducting those elections. And as I looked at that, a place to put that would just be after the first sentence of that article. So that's just a thought. The other thing, in terms of the language of this, I'm not sure that the clause which says which oversees the setup of the financial town meeting for elections is necessary here to establish the authority to designate check-in time for voting. I don't dispute the accuracy or the substance of the language. I just don't think it's necessary. That's just a thought. Section 304, notice and agenda for meetings. Let's see, section 304. So, and there's it's in paragraph, the third paragraph, yes. It adds language that says, and said warrant items shall be directly incorporated into the budget committee report. I think there is some confusion, and again, I didn't attend the meeting at which this was discussed, but I think there is sometimes confusion about the distinction between the formal warrant as prepared and posted by the town clerk and the budget committee report distributed to voters. The current charter language states and requires that the budget committee report shall include the listing of warrant items. It also says further up that the listing of items of the warrant, items to be voted, shall be posted with the warrant. So the formal warrant includes the traditional warning or preamble as described in state law, but the rest of the warrant comprises essentially the warrant items of the budget committee, that the budget committee includes, though not exactly in the same format. The formal warrant may also include one or two other conditional procedural requirements, such as acceptance of the treasurer's report. But I may be misunderstanding the intent of this, but by incorporating the full warrant into the budget committee, seems to me would be substantially redundant and add length and expense to that report. So that's just a comment. Conduct of meetings, section 305. A new paragraph, which I appreciate. One suggestion is the town moderator shall coordinate with the town clerk and the information technology department to ensure the town provides adequate space such that all wishing to attend the financial town meeting shall be accommodated and have the opportunity to be heard. I think this accurately, the term coordinate accurately describes the town moderator's limited but essential responsibility in this regard. My only suggestion is to amend this to allow for a broader scope of town officials who share this responsibility. So does not read something like The town moderator shall coordinate with the town clerk, the information officer, and other town officials. Just a suggestion, because we learned this year, that it could be different from year to year. Many town officials have to participate. We have the town administrator, police and fire chiefs, others who might have to cooperate to do this. So it's just a thought to include the phrase "and other town officials." I don't think it would require it, but it would notice it. And then finally, the other section is section 413, additional council responsibilities. And then I'm going down to section E, which reads, as proposed, ensure compliance and accountability with the charter, and that adds ordinances and state and federal guidelines and laws by all town officials, departments, and agencies to establish a process for review of complaints of non-compliance from qualified electors of the town. The current language is specific to the charter enforcement. And I recall that this was inserted back in 2006, and a companion ordinance was created that describes the enforcement process. It's rarely been used. I think I may have been the only person who ever tried to revoke it. I can't remember what for. I know the council didn't accept my complaint, which I know. But I'm a little concerned that the expectation that the council would be responsible for compliance with state and federal laws may create some legal and jurisdictional confusion. So I have some, this was inserted specifically because there was no other provision in the charter for its enforcement. There is an ordinance that calls for a process by which a complaint is made to the clerk, comes before the council, and the council acts on it. It's not a strong enforcement possibility, but it's more than we had. And my guess would be that if the council didn't act on a complaint that is really satisfactory to a citizen, that their next stop would be in court. So those are my suggestions.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to me. I have one copy of this on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Ben Kennedy?
My name is Vincent Kennedy, I'm a resident of Big Drum Road. Just a point of explanation with respect to the intangible property. I think that was driven towards the non-real assets of the town, including, for instance, delinquent taxes. So that, there is an authority to sell non-real assets. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'm not seeing anyone, so I will close the public hearing.
I got page 9.
We are going to go one by one through these, Gary, when we get to it on our agenda. If you want to do it then, it's up to you, however you'd rather do it. I just wanted to give you the option to
We're
do
going to go
so.
one by one. I'll wait till that time.
Okay. Let's do
I
that.
think somebody should take Larry's notes. I think
I
some.
think Heather has them.
I have it.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to close the public hearing and thank you for participating. Moving on, we have saluted the flag already. Oh, I'm sorry.
If I may, I'd love to
Brandon,
address this,
Pinio, please come up. Sorry, do I need to reopen the public hearing?
We're still open.
We're still open? Okay. Mr. Pinio.
Thank you,
please.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry I didn't see your hand. I
Not
would
a
have
problem.
recognized
I
you.
wasn't standing up. I'll take responsibility for that.
Thank you.
This evening, I chose to take a few minutes just to address Section 506, the changes to Part B. And that is a change that is alarming to me. And my reasoning for that is by taking making the said changes to go from a $5,000 limit before an RFP has to be put out, and moving that up to a $20,000 or the other parameters that are outlined there is particularly alarming, because I believe that by soliciting bids, particularly at the $5,000 stage, several things can happen there. What it does, in my opinion, is it provides an opportunity for all bidders, both local bidders, sole proprietors, and also individuals from, say, the city up to Providence, to basically be on an even keel. In addition to that, it allows the public to monitor spending and ensures that the bidders are basically all are on an even keel. And in addition to that, it all ensures that we also get to evaluate whether or not those individuals understand the full scope of work. So, in other words, by raising this amount to, say, $20,000, where something could just be awarded to an individual or an outlet, we don't get the correspondence back and forth by the acknowledgement of the bid, and be able to evaluate whether or not they understand fully the scope of work. So in other words, if we're getting bids in that are within $300 of each other from several different entities, it also allows us basically to establish what the fair market value of a particular job is. So in the future, we don't know who's going to be sitting in these chairs. And sometimes a council person may understand what the fair value of the job is, and they may not sometimes. And in my opinion, by keeping this at the $5,000 limit the way it is right now before an RFP has to go out, it allows for checks and balances both ways. Both the public can view and see what's going on and what's going out to bid, and in addition to that, we can also evaluate whether or not the individuals submitting for the bids understand the scope completely. So by removing that, I feel that it hides the spending activity of the council in a way, because they could just be putting out these jobs and allocating them without really the scrutiny of the people, and I don't think that's transparent. It also allows ample ability down the road, because we don't know who's going to be sitting in these chairs in the future, for potential fraud or favoritism by awarding contracts to friends or groups that they may have an understanding with. So basically, it also will not allow us to check or verify the qualifications of the companies, because if the bid is just granted and we don't have the paperwork that's put in place for reflection on that, saying, do they have the background, are they insured, are they ready for the job, are they roofers? If you're putting on a roof, we don't know who's going to apply for these bids. So in my opinion, where it's at currently, I think allows for checks and balances both ways for everybody. And I would urge the council to consider not accepting that portion, in my opinion. I feel almost it's an attempt, it's not an accusation, to almost clandestinely remove the ability for the public to scrutinize and have oversight over what's being put out for jobs around the town. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Sal, please.
I would like to reiterate Brandon, Mr. Pinio's position on that. I handle many contracts, mostly federal contracts, and I know it's time consuming putting RFPs out. And the more you do it, though, the easier it gets. Okay, and the more you're used to it, the easier it gets. And I don't see any reason to drop that threshold. I think that threshold was a good threshold until now, and I think we should stay with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sal. Anybody else? Don't want to miss anybody? I think that's it. See you guys. All right, we're going to close the public hearing. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to announcements. I have one, which is to recognize the passing of Jeanette Russo, who was a friend to many and a free spirit, and will be greatly missed. And I'd like to ask that we just take a brief moment of silence in Jeanette's memory. Thank you. Next item, request for legal services from town boards, committees, and commissions. We have none. Approval of minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes of the July 9, 2026 town council meeting unless anybody has any omissions or corrections.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Hang on a second. I just have a question. I'm a little confused on the 32 Commons issue. We approved,
That is in our agenda under item old business 2, so we haven't gotten to that one yet, but we're going to discuss
if
that.
you want to wait till then, or you can wait to the...
It is on our agenda,
It's on the minutes, so I want to be able to pull it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to refer to it and do a clarifying statement on the agenda, but I'm happy to, engage with you when we get there.
No, that's fine,
That's
as
okay.
long as I can reference back to the
Absolutely.
approved minutes.
Is that okay if you reference this back to approved minutes?
Correct, yes.
Unless you want to change the minutes, that you think it's not accurately recorded.
I basically have a question, but it's based on what the new agenda is quoting. It's saying, I might as well just say it.
Okay.
It's saying electrical work RFP for 32 Commons, but we approved a thing for 32 Commons to do electrical work as a smoke detectors. Just
And I'll clarify it when we get to that agenda item, if that's okay, but yes,
Yeah.
I have clarification on that.
okay.
So then we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Department head reports.
Motion to place the department head reports on file unless anybody wants the full length for discussion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Old business 1, request from Young Family Farm for matter of farm accessory ordinance to be remanded to the planning board for further discussion.
I'll make the motion this be remanded back to the planning board so everybody that didn't have a chance to speak to it will have a chance at the planning board. And just to let people know, after the planning board comes up with a decision, well, the town council will have a public hearing, so everybody's going to have a chance to speak on it, let their views be known.
Can I comment just for clarification? I'm going to second that.
The motion's been made and seconded. We're in discussion. Would you like to say something, Mike?
Well, my only comment is
Could you wait till you get to the mic and identify yourself, please?
yes, Mike Steers, Pennsylvania Road,
It's not like,
has to do with the burdening the Young Family Farm with this activity. My understanding is that we're considering an expanded accessory use for all farms in town by special use permit. And so I think what you're asking the planning board to do is to reconsider such an ordinance for the town code.
This is a request that was made directly by the Young family to the council, and we are voting on whether or not to give them that opportunity to be heard again or more in front of the planning board, so that's what we're
Okay.
voting on. Okay? Thank you, Mike. I have a motion, I have a second, any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Old business 2, request for RFP for 32 Commons electrical wiring system. This is what Paul referred to questioning on our minutes. We did previously vote to approve this as a contract extension essentially with our contractor of record for 32 Commons. We had awarded him the contract to install the radio box about a year ago. We had a short time limit on that where we had to get it done in 60 days or else we could potentially have the first floor of the Oddfellows 32 Commons closed. So we approved the first half of his quote 1 year ago, I believe it was June of 25. And so when it came time to go to the wiring, we voted to approve the second half of it. But what we've chosen to do here is sort of, as Tony likes to call it, a belt and suspenders approach and go out to RFP for competitive pricing for the second half of that, which is just the wiring. So that's the motion, or that is the agenda item, is to
all right, so
go back out.
So the first one where we had a question, there's no RFP, that was the second approval.
Yeah, I think that when we were voting on that, I can speak for myself, was operating under the assumption that that was a contract extension because the original quote was a two-part quote from Crescent Alarm. but when I went back to check the minutes and the video from the meeting, I see that the council only voted to approve the first half of his quote, which was the radio box. We did vote to approve the second half as the wiring, so now the wiring job needs to be done, and so we're going to RFP for that for competitive pricing, or that's the proposal here.
All right, and so the comment that was made about you had a quote from one, but no, the other one declined to respond.
We had 2 quotes actually for the radio box. We were unable to get a third at the time. And again, at the time, we were under a time crunch for getting the work done so that they wouldn't close the doors on the first floor.
So the decline, sorry, I'm just trying to
It's okay.
save my confusion.
That's right.
The decline was for a third quote.
For a third quote, yeah, we reached out. There's not that many people who do the radio boxes, according to the chief. We found 3 people, and the third one that we found declined. We got 2 quotes, we worked with those 2. We compared those 2 and went with the lower
So
quote.
that, I'm looking at the solicitor now, that covers our case as far as the RFP is concerned.
Correct, yes.
That was my concern, that
Yeah.
somebody's going to throw a flag on the plate.
Thank you.
Say, hey, we did an RFP.
Yeah, that's what we're going to try to do here, if there's a motion for that.
So, yeah, that was, what I had concern about was that anytime you go to bids for anything, getting over $5,000, which I think that bid was $10,000 or $11,000. So which leads right up to Brandon Pinio's situation, that anything over $5,000 needs an RFP. And what the minutes states, Counselor, I asked if there was any other alarm company solicited. Councilor McHugh stated no. Councilor Tata commented and she learned that there was a small pool of companies. There was one other that declined. So now you say there was 2?
We asked for 3. This is about a year ago, I believe it was in June of 2025. We tried to get 3 quotes for it. We were only able to get 2. The third company that we identified declined to offer a quote. And so we discussed that as a council at that time, looked at those 2 quotes, compared them, voted to go with Crescent Alarms, who also is the alarm contractor of record on the building. And they were the lower of the 2 quotes.
So when we go through the charter, when they proposed to raise it from 5,000 to 10,000, that'll be a different discussion, but I think it'd be a good idea for all of us to, if we get anything over whatever, we come up with $5,000 or 10,000. If it's over that amount, we should go for an RFP.
Absolutely.
Everything will be a lot cleaner.
So that's exactly what this is trying to take care of and clean up. So do I have a motion to go to RFP for the wiring system at 32 Commons?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, new business. Proposed amendments to the Little Compton Home Rule Charter. Again, there were copies in the back, so if you don't have a copy, share with a friend. And Heather has a couple more up here, so if someone wants a copy, there's a couple more up here. And Jonathan has them on both the screens. There are 36 proposed charter amendments, which is a lot. I would like to, first of all, begin by thanking the Charter Commission for all of their work over the last 18 months or so, and thank everybody who participated in those public meetings. The commission heard from department heads, boards and committees, the chiefs, the town moderator, the former and current clerk, the finance director, and several members of the public. They brought us 36 proposed amendments. I'd like to take them one by one for our consideration. The amendments that are approved will then go to the solicitor and the clerk to draft language for inclusion on the ballot and into the charter. The council will have another meeting proposed for next Thursday, the 30th at 6 p.m. Heather, has that been confirmed? Okay. To review the draft language and vote again. This will provide another opportunity for public comment. The final list of amendments will then go to the Secretary of State for ballot inclusion, and then we can all vote on them in November. So, moving along, I'll start with section 102. I'm just going to read the title of the section and then invite a motion. If there's a motion and a second, we'll see if there's discussion, and we'll just try to make our way through this list. Starting with section 102, powers of the town. Is there a motion to approve this
So
for
moved.
consideration of the
Second.
voters? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That's your line here.
What's that?
the town shall comply with all ordinance and regulations.
It's PW's adhere to.
All right, section,
But yes, that is my, it's built into my.
this is good, we can have fun with it, Paul. Section 103, town property.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that?
Yeah, I thank Vincent Kennedy for explaining what intangible meant, because I really didn't know what that meant myself. Tangible, yes, intangible, so I think that's good that that was put in there, because of the problems we have in this town with people not paying their taxes. I think something has started, but we need to crack down on that, the financial problems we're having.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right. Section 202, canvassing authority.
Motion approved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Section 301, date and purpose of financial town meeting.
Motion to approve.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I'm sorry, excuse me, sorry, who seconded it?
I seconded it. All in favor?
Don't everybody speak at once.
Is there any merit to
You want to be a
Larry's?
discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any merit to Larry's suggestion to move section C of this, or subsection C to section 2 of the 4?
I would never suggest that there's no merit to something that Larry Anderson suggests.
Or does that just make it complicated, doesn't do the same
It
thing?
seems a little complicated to me since we don't have language for that one on this list of proposed amendments. Any other thoughts on that? Okay. Any other discussion?
You have the ability to amend the proposal here now.
Right, I understand that, yep. Do you want to make an amendment, Andrew? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Section 302, recessed and special town meetings.
Motion approved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Section 304, notice and agenda for meetings.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it. Comment.
Okay, go ahead, I'll give you a comment.
I want to know your opinion on it.
I reiterate what Larry had stated about the word, as the clerk who drafts the warrant, Larry did state that the warrant items are already in the budget report. To have the full warrant, which just shows, minimal, like the statement Larry talked about, to accept the treasurer's report, and then it would have the town sergeant's signature, the clerk's signature. Sometimes those things in the process aren't ready to roll based on the timeline of the editing and the printing of that budget book. And also already at times the budget book spacing is limited. So I think it's not necessary, but that's my opinion as the clerk.
Would you make a recommendation, what you would like to see in there, because this basically falls on you?
Just that it not be the actual said warrant. Warrant items
You
are
want to leave it? Can I
sufficient.
make a suggestion on this? You have a warrant, it's a public document, it's the predicate document you have in the financial town meeting. Voters should already have it. So I don't think this is necessary. I hope this isn't being recorded. I agree with Mr. Anderson.
Good night, Larry.
So a motion is made on the table to approve, so.
I'm
Do you want
gonna,
to withdraw your motion?
yes.
Who seconded Gary's motion?
I'll withdraw the second.
Okay.
Paul did.
Then I would make a motion that we strike the first underlined section of this proposal. And keep the second amendment. Is that okay?
Strike the first and leave the last section, which is the underline
Yeah,
at the
at
end of the
least.
third paragraph.
Yeah, which says at least 48 hours prior to the annual financial town meeting.
But the incorporation is out.
Correct.
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye, as amended. Thank you. Section 305, conduct of meetings.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Beg your pardon, was
Yes.
that the amendment that was suggested by Mr. Anderson?
It was the amendment that, on this item?
He suggested that after a technology department and other town officials, that could be the fire chief, that could be the chief of police.
Oh, inserting and other town officials.
Yes.
Do you want to amend your, would we need to withdraw not to make it complicated for you?
I leave it up to the council, but I again agree with Larry on that the
There's other officials that.
very integral part, the police chief and the fire chief in the safety of the function of the financial town meeting is very important. Their authoritative figure to be able to handle the flow and make sure it works in necessary capacity is very important.
Okay, then I will make a motion to accept this with the amendment that states, town moderator shall coordinate with the town clerk and the information technology department and other town officials to ensure the town provides adequate space.
I'll second that one.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Section 306, proposals for expenditure outside of the budget.
Make a motion to approve this.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Section 405, eligibility of council members, town employment. Did I miss one?
No, I did.
Okay.
I'll make a motion for that.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Section 407, forfeiture of office.
So, this goes from missing 3 meetings in 6 months, or a total of 6 meetings for any 1 year, and it's been changed to attends no regularly scheduled council meeting for a period of 3 consecutive months. That's what it was. Attends no regularly scheduled council meeting for a period of 3 months. And then it was changed to scheduled council meeting for a period of 3 consecutive meetings, okay, or a total of 6 meetings during the year. Now, I'm in my twilight years, as everybody knows. I take a month and a half off in the winter. And when COVID was out, it was great to have Zoom, where we could all be in our houses and Zooming. When that was happening, I made every meeting. This seems like a direct attack on me, because sometimes I miss 2 meetings, sometimes I miss 3. So it feels like they're trying to say, well, Mataronis can't get out by electing him out, so let's try to force him out because he misses 3 consecutive meetings, okay? Which I don't think is right. You got people that come up here, we don't get paid to be here, and now you're putting restrictions on it. And I'll say the same thing on other boards and commissions when they come up. You're asking people to come up here for no funding. We take a lot of abuse at times. I think we do a good job for the town, and now you're putting restrictions on what we can do. There is no way that I shirk my responsibility, or anybody else here shirks their responsibilities, okay? So I think that should go back to the way it was.
Gary, I'll stand with you on that as well. I won't deny I've missed 3 consecutive meetings before. This is a volunteer, almost volunteer responsibility, and as someone that has a full-time job, sometimes my job requires me to have evening events that I don't always have control over. And I always try to make sure that they're scheduled appropriately, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. So if people don't like what we've been doing, then they can, vote us out in November. But
I'll make a motion, we leave it as is with no change.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Section 408, meetings and procedures.
Motion to approve.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
413, additional council responsibilities.
The council, the way I read it, shall contract an appropriate firm specializing in said work, which I guess is getting a company to come up and codify ordinances or to write the ordinances. Is that what it is? To put them in the form, put them in the code book?
I can read at the bottom of each of these proposed amendments, there's the reason for the proposed amendment, so if it's helpful, I can read this, or we can read it on any that helps for clarity. The proposed changes to section 413A substantially change the time frame in which local ordinances are updated on the town website from 1 year to no later than 7 days following approval. This change is focused on increasing visibility and access to current information for the public. Proposed changes to subsections E, F, and G focus on strengthening the town council's obligations to comply with laws, regulations, and ordinances, to increase fiscal accountability, to state oversight responsibilities for key personnel, and require monthly review of financial statements for the public record.
Right, and I read those too, Victoria. I don't think 7 days is enough time. Is it 7 days enough time? No.
Do you want to offer an amendment to the time?
I mean, it's kind of at the mercy of the general code. They get the submission and then they put up the document that would say approved at such a meeting. It's on that first page there, but that may not necessarily get implemented into the actual section accordingly until they print our code. That could take months. They don't do it on a regular basis. And sometimes we've had matters that, for instance, the recent or last year Harbor Commission mooring fee adjustment, that was approved. It ended up going back before the council. It was kind of held back before it got put in there because it needed to be reworked on. So I just mentioned all that 7 days is really,
Is
that's
the
too much.
prior, in your opinion, since you're the one that handles this, is the 1 year an appropriate time frame, or at 7 days, it feels like quite a difference?
1 year is excessive. I
Six
mean,
months.
6 months, 4 months, I would say that's
I'll amend that
reasonable,
from 7 days to 6 months.
I have a procedural question on the...
Hold on, so Gary's making a motion to amend the
7 days to 6 months.
is there a second
I'll
on
second.
Gary's motion? Now we're discussion, go ahead, Paul.
Just a procedural question. It said including town administrator and finance director. I'm probably misinformed or confused, but I thought the finance director worked for the town administrator. Is that not true?
Yes, he reports to the
Yes.
town administrator, yep.
So
Where are you?
why they add and the finance director? Our oversight is the town administrator who
Right.
oversees it all. I just don't understand why the finance, it looks to me like the finance
Yeah.
director was pulled out for some reason.
That's interesting, I don't know what the background is on that
He's
text.
on the next page.
He's on item F.
Oh,
It says provide oversight for all appointed town officials, including town administrator and finance director. And Paul is correctly pointing out that the finance director already reports to the town administrator. So really, this is just for the council's oversight of the town administrator.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so do you want to add that to, or should we add that to the
I'll add that
amendment?
to your amendment, Gary.
Well-
Just to strike the finance director.
You know, I agree with that, but, you know, we've had problems with finance directors. Fortunately, we've got a good one now. So I don't think it's a problem to have more eyes on the finance department. And, you know, so I think it should be left, but it's up to what everybody wants to. I'll move that be left. Well, I still have the motion on the table.
So we have a motion in the second for changing the text in section A from 7 days to 6 months. Is that correct, Heather? And are there any other proposed amendments to this proposed amendment?
I'd like to propose an amendment to eliminate the finance director on the oversight.
Why don't we just leave it as provide oversight for all appointed town officials?
That works. That way we cover the finance director and everybody
Yeah, I
else.
suppose that's a blanket, yeah.
And then it's not prioritizing,
Yeah,
it's not creating levels of authority okay, I'll make the
Not
motion.
just military.
Well, we have a motion.
We have a motion.
Let's approve my motion.
Okay.
Before we get to
So we have the motion in the second on Gary's change from 7 days to 6 months, and all in favor? Aye.
Can we go to C before we go to the next? So, council may provide for such additional orders as it may deem appropriate. And then they got struck out, and for which the town meeting may have made appropriation. So, how are we going to get an order if the money's not appropriated for? That's just a question, I mean, if this seems to be okay. I mean, what I wrote down was no appropriation for the money to do an audit and no audit. Solicitor, any comment?
I agree with you. You gotta get the appropriation.
So I would move that we leave in for which the town meeting may have made an appropriation.
May I comment?
Yes. Please come up to the mic again.
Only the second here. that motion?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I'll second
it's
it.
the second and right here.
Excuse me, what was the motion?
The motion was to leave in for which the town meeting may have made an appropriation.
I think this arose in the context of a contingency that could arise in the future where there is a circumstance where a audit would be required under the, if there had been a defalcation of some variety, and the prior authorization applied only to the annual audit. The intention was that the funding for an audit that would arise under what I'll call exigent circumstance would fall, in my opinion, under the incidental and emergency budget line.
Yeah,
Thank you for your time.
I stand corrected, he's right.
Okay.
This goes to a situation where an audit is required, not the annual audit. So there wouldn't be an appropriation for that. He's right.
Give him your seat.
There'll be no more. I'll withdraw my
Withdraw your
motion.
motion? Okay. Heather, do you have the withdrawals? Okay. All right, any other discussion? We were going to move on to which one? F. Yeah?
I'll make a motion that we amend F to simply say provide oversight for all appointed town officials.
We'll second that.
Do you want to say something,
I wanted to make
Gary?
sure that I had another chance to comment on subsection E before you vote on the
Okay, we're
whole.
going to vote on this
Okay.
motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I got something on G. So it says, perform monthly review of town's financial statements and provide public record reports to the first town council meeting of each month, along with the bills to be paid for the upcoming month. So I'm not sure, for the upcoming month, I guess I'm not understanding that, but I'm seeing how do we know what bills we're going to have come in for the upcoming month?
That section about the bills, yeah.
The bills arrive every day in the mail
Right.
or via email, and they, whatever is brought in up to the moment on Wednesday at noontime is what is on your listing of bills for that immediately following council meeting. Unless there is something that may come in Wednesday afternoon that, is like a big bill payment or something like that would be added. But other than that, I mean, we don't know. John, the finance director, may know, or Jonathan, the IT director, may know if there's a contract item that might be coming due, Microsoft or
Recurring
whatever.
bills, yeah,
But,
yeah.
I mean,
So Gary, are you just,
I would-
just questioning the end of that sentence after the comma, the along with the bills?
Well, yeah, along with the bills to be paid for the upcoming month, how do you know what the bills are going to
Right.
be? So I would say strike along with bills to be paid for the upcoming month unless Vincent, I figured you'd have some.
I would recommend that you consider a change from the first meeting of each month. I think operationally that would place an undue burden on the finance department. Because just the way the calendar works, closing a monthly statement, consumes some time. So I don't think, the first meeting of a calendar month is operationally feasible. So I would suggest that. With respect to the pending accounts payable, you might want to just use that phrase as the then pending accounts payable, rather than the bills. You're very, very correct to point out, it comes in at 5 o'clock on Wednesday, who knows? So I would just recommend, the operational cycle of the finance department be recognized within this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Stated.
So how do we want to change that then?
I still don't understand that scenario. That I'm just trying to think about how the bills are done for the council and be paid, and I'm still not understanding.
I believe what Mr. Kennedy was suggesting was that rather than the language that exists, which is the bills to be paid for the upcoming month, it's just to pay the pending bills, accounts payable, whatever bills are pending at that time. I believe that's the proposed change.
How about along with the bills payable? Pending
Accounts payable.
accounts payable.
Along with the
Is
bills
it-
pending accounts payable?
Sorry,
That's
maybe
okay.
I'm the only one in the
That's
room
right.
that's not understanding this, but does this mean that you're giving the finance department, you would be giving the finance department the open purview to just pay whatever comes and not come before the council at a bi-weekly meeting, a bi-monthly meeting?
Can I make a suggestion?
Go right ahead, yes, please.
You have it every meeting, a
Yeah.
list of bills to be paid.
Yeah.
The objection is to the last phrase for the upcoming month. So, go along with what Mr. Kennedy said, strike first town council meeting of each month. And make that reports to the town council on a monthly basis, along with the bills to be paid. And that would track what we're doing currently.
So nothing changes?
Nothing changes operationally.
Okay, right, yeah.
Thank you.
Did you get that change, because we could make that a motion? Tony, do you have that? Gary, would you like to make that a
Yeah,
motion? for Tony?
Can you give that to?
The G would read, perform monthly review of the town's financial statements and provide public record reports to the town council on a monthly basis, along with the bills to be paid.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Is there anything else on 413? We can move on to 501.
So I wanted to comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, Larry, yes, that's right.
E, that's
Yep.
what.
E?
Oh, we've already gone by that.
So I want to make clear that I have no objection to ensuring client accountability with not only the charter, but ordinances and state and federal regulations and laws. I'm not opposed to that. I just point out that the current language of this is a two-part provision here. The existing language says, I'm reading from the existing charter, ensure compliance, and remember that the word "to" is at the beginning of this, so this is to ensure compliance with the charter by all town officials, departments, and agencies, as this is the existing language, and to establish a process for review of complaints and non-compliance from qualified electors of the town. As I mentioned before, the town, to comply with this, adopted an ordinance, 2-17D, that describes the mechanism for enforcement of charter complaints. So I would urge you, if you accept this language, to perhaps have the town solicitor review that section to see whether it's compatible with the new language. I would just urge you to do that.
Solicitor?
It isn't, but if this passes, then that ordinance would have to be amended.
Okay. Well, just you want to look at that ordinance and try to think of the consequences of adding whole other categories of grounds for complaints.
Thank you, Larry. Section 501, fiscal year and definitions.
I think this is just clarification of what the definitions are, or they are the definitions, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Anya? Sorry, Heather, we do have after Anya.
Marcus? Yes.
Okay, thank you. I passed it off to Anya.
This is the Martha plea. Martha, in reading this, pointed out that under budget timeline, item, so that's F, number 3, that it's more practical to say by the 31st of December. Oh, sorry. Okay. So I would propose that we strike January and insert December there. And then under 4, it reads, a copy of the town warrant will be provided by the budget committee immediately following its adoption by the town council, and that should read to the budget committee rather than by.
Thank you, Anya. Thank you, Martha. I'll make that motion. Heather, you already have that language? Yes. Okay.
So I'll have to amend my motion to include Anya's
Thank you.
statements.
And did you have a second, Karen?
Second.
Andrew, second.
Andrew, second, okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Section 502, Budget Committee.
I didn't have any, I couldn't see anything wrong with that one, so I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was 502. 503, preparation of the budget.
I don't have anything written down on this one either, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Section 504, public hearings on budget.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Section 505, capital program.
So 506B, this
505? Sorry.
So, motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
506?
506B. Tony, is the state up the amount that you have to go out and bid, 5,000 to 10,000?
It, currently, 45-55-9 is at 5,000 individually and then 10,000 for construction in aggregate. There was a bill in that would have changed that to the figures you see here in 506B, but that bill did not get through the General Assembly. It made it to the last step and then it was adjourned. So I thought,
That wouldn't be a requirement on the towns to comply with that.
correct.
That would only apply to state contracts.
I've always read Title 45, Chapter 55 to also apply to cities and towns. Not to say that a city and town can have more stringent regulations, but they can't exceed past it. I've always, that's been the advice I've always given.
So my recommendation would be to leave it as it is.
Is there anything in state law about basically inflation? Like 5,000 was a limit set so many years ago. 5,000 isn't 5,000 today anymore. 5,000 today is.
Wasn't that why the General Assembly was going to bump it to 10?
They,
Because of
yes,
inflation?
the bill just didn't make it to
Right.
the last step and then
Right.
just didn't get over the finish line.
So
But
that's-
you're correct.
Right.
And by the way, that would have matched the CPI from the last time they changed it, going through it, just didn't.
So if we do nothing, we stay compliant or in line with what the state regs are?
That's correct,
Okay.
yes.
I'll make a motion to leave 506B as is.
All in favor? Section,
Excuse me, just section B? You're-
oh, I'm sorry,
Changing
I'm
it.
sorry. So we were on section 506, yeah, we were under discussion on section B. The other change that was into section A, I guess it's A and B.
Yeah, I would suggest we leave section 506A and B as is.
That, by the way, it does comply with 45, 55, 9. Just so you know, I'm not saying you need to do it, but it's compliant. The amendment is compliant with state law.
But we can be more stringent with the state law.
You can,
Yeah,
yes.
so we can leave it.
You can leave it as is, yes, you can.
So my feeling is, you get an RFP, everybody's going to know what's going on, rather than one person on the council saying, well, I can bid up to $20,000. So, I mean, if that wasn't going to go through, I was going to say, well, we'd have to have council approval, and that it went through the way it's written, there would be no oversight on spending, so.
So Heather, the current motion is to leave that entire section 506 and not make any changes to it?
Correct.
So the amendment on 506 does not pass?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We vote.
And do we need to vote
Yeah.
on not passing something?
I would.
Well, yeah, that was the motion. to leave it as
Right,
it
I think,
is.
but if
Oh,
not
oh,
doing
oh.
something, but fine, we can, yeah, so all in favor? Aye.
Well, you've done that previously.
Yeah, all right, I'm trying to keep, it's a lot to keep track.
I know, you can do that.
510, budget adjustments.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Section 511, currently titled Council Discretionary Fund, proposed new title Town Council Incidental and Emergency Budget.
All for that, motion approved.
Second. Sounds a lot more professional.
All in favor? Aye. Section 512, formerly titled, or currently titled Reserve Fund. Section 512, new title proposed the Town Contingency Fund, TCF.
I didn't have anything written down on this, but it's, for a layman, it gets kind of confusing.
I'm going to read the reason for the proposed amendment because I do know that there has been robust debate and conversation and deliberation on this item. The reason for the proposed amendment: the finance director and members of the budget committee proposed the deletion of wording about the fund formerly known as quote-unquote reserve funds, which has been a source of confusion and potentially a source of fiscal misunderstanding. The proposed changes include a new section 512 named the Town Contingency Fund, TCF, with a statement of purpose and descriptions of the TCF's components with associated responsibilities. The objective of the changes is to increase transparency and accountability for manage and use of the town's contingency funds. Do you have a motion on this yet? Oh, I have Ben Kennedy and then Andy Ryan.
This is a factually intensive topic. The issue arose that Section 512, as currently drafted, referred to two funds, the cell tower fund and the reserve fund, one of which no longer exists. That was sometime in 2023, what used to be the cell tower fund was retitled with some transactions now being referred to and titled as the cell tower reserve fund. So in part, this language is to conform to the current use of account titles. More importantly, the use of funds under this were limited to three circumstances. For use in rather than borrowing in anticipation of taxes, could be for construction, it could be also for emergency purposes. Much more importantly, under the Section 512, any funds drawn from that account was subject to repayment by appropriation in the next year's tax year. So if there is, by way of example, and so this is just to make it up to illustrate the point, if there's a breach at South Shore Beach and it costs $50,000 to fix it, that goes into the tax base the next year. So that's one purpose, was to sort of smooth out, if you will, the use of funds without a mandated source of repayment. So that was the principal hurdles with respect to the existing 512. The proposed Section 512 combines what is now called the Cell Tower Reserve Fund and the Reserve Fund, that between the two of them have a current balance somewhere in the order of $320,000. And it lays out that any funds received from the cell tower leases are paid into the contingency fund until a $400,000 balance is attained, and any amounts received in excess of $400,000 is then the general revenue of the town. So it provides some operational flexibility above $400,000. It also provides that there are voting requirements to draw in the event of exigent circumstance, but not the immediate obligation to repay in the next tax year. So it provides further financial flexibility to the town. This was a hideously complex set of circumstances. I hope I've captured the essence of it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ben. Andy?
We are so lucky to have Mr. Kennedy come and spend so much time with us on these very complicated financial topics. But I will note that we spent 10 hours talking about this in the budget committee, I think, something like that, in committee. So probably if you added it all up. One thing I think you should also be aware of is that Bob Mushman is the only person who really, I think, clarified this issue for us in a meeting where he was able to give us the complete history of how the fund popped up. And it really was from the cell tower revenue. And it was, what do we do with that? And then how do we use that as some type of fund? And then it could, right? But it has never been used that I know of, or very sparingly, and money has just built up in there. So you have a nice emergency fund, but real no way of using it. And then I think the next thing you need to understand too is that we probably will not have cell tower revenue forever, because the next generation of cell towers will go on light poles. And that's not going to happen today or tomorrow. But when that does come through, you're going to lose $45,000 in that revenue that's building that fund up annually. And so you should not come into custom to having that revenue necessarily. And I think that's why we kind of thought about putting a structure of a $400,000 cap before it flows in before it flows into the general revenue fund base, right? So those are the kind of the context there. I think Ben did a really great job explaining the nuance behind it. But I can tell you, we spent a tremendous amount of time on this. This is an enormous, people have no idea what this fund is. That's why you can't track it financially right now. And so we just tried to clean this up and provide some structure for how the council may use the fund and then how you may repay it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Do we have a motion on the table on this one? I don't think we
Motion
do.
to approve, second.
Okay, we have a motion from Gary, a second from Andrew and Paul. Go ahead.
For some odd reason, the cell tower fund was somehow tied into the fire department. And I can't remember why. I remember we bought a fire truck with it. And it was on a payment schedule and the cell phone supplied the money. There was some contingency.
That may have been prior to 2021, which is the last debit transaction that I could look at. So for the last 5 years,
Nothing's been drawn from it.
there's been no other than the credits to the cell tower reserve fund from the lease payments, there's been no transactions.
Okay. Just something that popped in my head from Sydney a while.
No, it probably was 2019, but that's a guess on my part.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on this one? All in favor? Aye. Section 601, Town Administrator.
601A, compensation and benefits to the town administrator shall be as set by the town council, and should that be approved at financial town meeting?
I'm not sure.
Financial town meeting has ultimate authority.
Of all set, of everything.
So we set what the benefits for the town administrator, but we still have to have approval by the financial town meeting. So I would just add that to be a town council and approved at the financial town meeting.
I'm just not sure it's necessary because everything gets approved at the financial town meeting. Why would that have specific, I mean, I know that there's precedent language that they're proposing striking out, but other than that, I'm not sure that we would need that language in there.
Well, I think the way it was originally read was the town administrator shall be as set by the financial town meeting. And the financial town meeting does not set compensation and benefits. They only approve what the town council has already said are the compensation and benefits. So now it says compensation and benefits for the town administrator should be set by the town council. and approved at the financial town meeting. So where it was originally, the financial town meeting would set the compensation and benefits. Now it says the council will, but it still has to be approved at the financial town meeting.
Can I say something?
Sure, please come to the microphone.
I mean, I'm open to clarification.
Well, and I think
Identify
that,
yourself, please.
oh, sorry, Bonnie Finney.
And Chair of
Chair
our
of
Charter
the
Commission.
Charter
Thank you, Bon.
Although I delegated a lot to that again. The main point was clarification, just exactly as you say, Gary, that everyone's salary and benefits is approved by the town council. But for some reason, it was stated in here that for the town administrator, so which is illogical. So we just changed it for clarification. And I don't know, and it's under the title of town administrator, so I think that the change is simple, and just to get it out of the hands of the financial town meeting,
Right.
because as you say, they all go there anyway.
Right.
Okay, so that's why we changed it.
Yeah, I'm going to let you know the legal import.
Thank you.
Take a look at your collective bargaining agreement, which is a contract. Once you enter into it, if the financial town meeting doesn't fund that, the town's still obligated to pay. By doing it this way, once the town council sets that, whether or not the financial town meeting funds it, it's a contract and you're obligated to pay.
So we don't need approved at the financial town meeting, and then
If you don't have that language in and you have that contract, if it's not funded by the financial town meeting, the town's still obligated to pay.
all right, so should that language be in there or not? Or should it end with town council?
And that's a policy consideration.
And
Because
Andy
you-
ran with hand up. You can come to the, while the solicitor
sorry,
finishes,
I'll
Andy.
finish.
No, that's what I was.
If you put that language in, set by the town council and approved by the financial town meeting, the financial town meeting says no, then the contract is not effective as to that portion of it. Okay, if the language isn't in there and the financial town meeting does not fund it fully, then that's, the town will still be obligated to pay. That's the legal import of this. That's the policy consideration for you on this.
Thank you, Tom. Andy?
So I would just remind you how the financial town meeting works, and that is the budget committee makes a recommendation that's based on the town council's recommendation. So the budget committee's recommendation for a salary for an individual would be the elected individual, like the clerk's salary and compensation is by the budget committee. Town council sends everything else to us, I believe. We then vote on the recommendation, and then the voters at the financial town meeting approve the line item numbers at the not line by line. Voters cannot amend line by line budget details. So essentially, you could end up in a situation where someone may make a motion to reduce the line item number for the town administrator on the warrant item to some amount, but that doesn't change how, that doesn't give the voters the right to change what is paid in that amount. And so my recommendation would be that the town council sets the salary and benefits, but that the budget committee the budget committee has basically can go in and adjust those budget items in the budget report. But I'm not even sure if we do line item level work in the budget committee necessarily, where we may do, we would do the bottom line, but I'm trying to think in a case where we have changed a subpart of a warrant, or if we're voting on those warrants to recommend or not recommend. We might not recommend a full amount for a particular reason, right? But I don't know if we would come in and vote to say, change the administrator's salary within that part of the budget. I don't think we do that even I think, so to answer your question, the solicitor's question, I think the town councils, once they vote on a budget that has the salaries of those individuals, you know, the budget committee then, I guess, can come in and want to change part of that, but can they actually tell you how to spend that individual's, that account's funds in there, right? So I think you need to think about how that's done, but I don't think the financial town meeting approves the town administrator's salary. They approve the town administrator, the warrant item associated with that salary. you would have to have a warrant item that was town administrator's salary, and if you're going to have the financial town meeting approve that.
So if we strike financial town meeting, which I understand why it doesn't make sense that that was in there and why we would want to strike that, and add town council instead, and I understand why that would be. And now the question is, do we also add to that for approval at financial town meeting? I just wonder if we add the language that it's for approval at financial town meeting, are we suggesting that this one particular salary is somehow handled differently than other salary items, that we don't have specific language about further being confirmed at financial town meeting? Do you know what I'm, yeah?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
That's fine.
Okay. So I'll make the motion that we accept it as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that was 601. We're moving on, guys. 605, tax assessor.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Sorry, did I do the wrong number?
605.
Sorry, 601 was town administrator. We finished, now we're on 605. Okay. Tax
Motion
assessor.
to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Section 611, Director of Senior and Social Services. It currently is Director of Social Services. The additional language is senior and that's proposed.
Okay, so on this, and I'm just trying to clarify something. On the line it says, activities coordinator shall report to the Director of Senior Social Services. Down a couple lines later, it says the absence or inability of the senior activity coordinator shall report to the Director of Senior Social Services. And then down below that, in the reason, it says proposed changes state the consolidation of two positions into a single position entitled Director of Social Services and Senior Director. So it's got it written two ways above, and then what I'm trying to figure out is if it's supposed to be like that, or if that's a clerical error.
I see what you're saying. In the reason, it's worded differently. I'm not sure that that matters as much as the text of the proposed amendment, where I think it's worded correctly.
The former titles are in the reason.
The former titles are in the reason, and the current titles are in the new text that's in the underlined section.
But it says the proposed changes state the consolidation of the two positions into a single position titled Director of Social Services and Senior
And
Director.
it's not titled that, is your point, yeah.
And it's not titled that,
Yeah.
so.
Those were the former titles.
I know, but it says the proposed changes state the consolidation is what the proposed changes, and and it's not.
It should be
Yeah.
from.
Okay.
I think you're right, the wording in the reason.
Okay, that makes
is off.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But the wording, I think, Gary, you tell me if you're seeing it differently, in the body of the proposed amendment, I think is correct.
Okay, right, so now it reads correct, the proposed changes to the state consolidation from two positions.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense now. But before it was, they were fighting each other. So I'll make a motion that we accept it as written.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Section 703, Conservation Commission. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No, I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
was
Just want to make sure.
rereading it again.
Section 706, currently titled Pension Committee, new proposed title Retiree Benefits Committee.
So, on this one, a little history, Bob Mushin was on the pension committee, and I think he contributed quite a bit to the pension committee. And whatever happened to the pension committee, he would come back at, quarterly and tell us what was going on, or something had come up, or we had to vote on something, he would explain it to us. So is there still going to be a council member on that, only you can't vote, or, I think it would be good to have a council member on that, Mr. Kennedy. I know that you're worried about a conflict of interest, but
I don't believe it's a conflict in interest. I think it's a conflict in role. In that one view of the town council is that this body collectively is the adjudicator for all matters coming before the town, including, amongst other things, retiree benefits. And to the extent that a member of town council is a voting member of a subordinate commission, board, whatever you want to call it, it's difficult for me to think of that person being able to exercise impartial judgment in their role as an adjudicator. So partly it's a conflict in role, not a conflict in interest. The second point is that with respect to the other, if you will, other responsibilities of the committee to produce a written report, retiree benefits, depending on where they fall, are typically either the third, fourth, or fifth collectively largest expense of a municipality. And as such, it is helpful that both sets of retiree benefits be viewed holistically, and that a common sense written report be given to the electorate. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So this is proposing that we keep a counselor on, just not as a voting member. Is that how you're reading? That's my understanding. Is that what you're saying?
What is ex officio? What does that mean in English?
A true ex officio member is someone that serves on there but doesn't vote. Sometimes that gets corrupted, but an ex officio member is somebody who's a member by virtue of another position that is on the board and can participate but not vote.
So the finance director can't vote, but he's going to be the chair.
Correct.
Just find that odd.
I'm not a fan of the term ex officio, but that's the true meaning. Although I can tell you that even in the Rhode Island General Assembly, ex officio members do get to vote.
I'm surprised. Early and often.
So, it says the committee shall be made up of 4 members appointed by the town council, none of which may be the holder of an elective office, which would be a council person. So my thought is, who's going to say, okay, you guys want this, and you guys want that, and pensions and whatnot? Who's actually going to, if the finance director is ex officio, he can't vote, but he's going to be the committee chair. So we're going to appoint somebody that's going to really take care of the finance aspect of the town. I just think a town council person should be on there to protect the town. I don't think there's a conflict in role. Go ahead. You're like a 1-year-old.
Ah, sorry, Gary.
Sorry, Andy, I didn't look up in time. Sorry about that.
Gary, I appreciate the comment. I think that having the finance director as a professional staff of the town be the chair makes a lot of sense, because you have a professional finance person chairing a committee that has a lot of moving parts and numbers associated with it. And then you have people of the town that make up the committee and vote on the committee. But your role as town council is to approve the budget, which has the pension fund and things in it, and oversee that and appoint those people on that committee. So, I mean, I think y'all have a very important role in the committee, but having 7 members of the committee on there in an active role, it would make sense to me that you have a finance director that is a non-voting member that is basically ensuring the committee is operating because they are paid by the town to help operate the town's finances. And so having a paid chair probably makes a lot more sense than having, say, an appointed chair. And then I'm kind of agnostic as whether a town council member is on that or not, but I would recommend that you try to diversify your roles out there, and y'all perform your oversight duties on the pension fund and making sure that the pension fund is well funded into the future and takes a look at the growing, the employee base that we have and what that scope is going to look like in the future. But the finance director as a chair, I think it makes a lot of sense, and I would hesitate to have a employee of the town who's in charge of the finances of the town be a voting member on that committee.
My thought on that is, if you don't have somebody that's representing the town, elected official, and you got all union people there, and it costs you, say, 4 people that are put on by the town council. I mean, I know we have some good members that we've been reappointing right along, but I think somebody needs to be there from the town council just to oversee what's going on and protect the town. And as far as the finance director, we have a tremendous one right now. But if we go back the last 6 years, would you think?
I'm not going back. How's that? Let's not go back.
But the financial director we got right now, he's not going to be there forever.
Correct,
Supposedly,
correct.
we hire somebody that we think is great,
Yeah.
and come to find out they're not great. And then by this ordinance, they're still going to be the chairman of that.
How would you feel about leaving the language in about having a counselor there and including the finance director, like having both in there?
I would go along with that.
So, Sal, you want to make a comment?
I'd also like to know, I'd also like to know whether there's a solicitor at those meetings.
No.
I think that's a requirement when you're dealing with union contracts.
Thank you.
Okay, and I also like the idea of having a council member in the town financial.
Thank you. So I'll make a motion that we remove the strikeout regarding the member designated from the council in the middle of the paragraph.
More comments, sorry.
I'm going to make a motion and see if I have a second, and then I'll pull people up for whoever
More
was
comments,
that.
sorry.
So my motion is the center of the paragraph, the language that's struck that says, and one council member designated by the council. That remains in rather than be struck out, and then eliminate the next, after the comma, the next section, none of which may be the holder of elected office, eliminating that because obviously the councilor would be a holder of elected office.
Do you want to eliminate that?
Yes, so basically revert to the prior language about the councilor. So that's my proposed amendment.
Can you go forward, decide on that? Would it be under your purview to send Mark or somebody to these meetings?
Well, Mark brought up a good point. One of the members of the firm, Steve Antonucci, is considered an expert on municipal and public pensions. If I could, I'd even put his name. We can get somebody there. We actually have somebody who could be value added to this.
And a person from our solicitor's firm to attend these meetings.
I
Correct.
can have that, we can have a representative from the solicitor's firm to attend.
Yes.
I like it.
And when it comes down to the finance director, could that sentence read, "The finance director shall be an ex officio member of the committee who shall serve as committee chair and shall have the right to vote"?
Tony, can I ask, are you familiar with how other cities and towns manage their pension systems? Do they do it by committee, or is it?
Some have committees and some don't. Some just handle it right out of the finance office. But there are other towns that have pension committees, not many, but they do.
Could you just say, Tony, finance director shall be a member?
Correct, yes.
Just get rid of your ex officio.
You know,
Simplify it,
well, we
right?
get the charge when we throw in Latin terms.
Yeah, I know we have some hands, but I have a motion, I want to get a second, and then I'll take the hands.
Second.
Okay. Who's that? Bonnie?
Yeah.
Could you come up?
Sure.
Thank you.
It's a long walk.
I know. On me, too.
Sorry.
It's all your fault. Back to, okay, one thing at a time, is the non-voting, I think, is important. Certainly to have the finance director there, or even a member of the council there, that's great as far as participation, input, and everything else. But for them to have a vote, to me, I mean, the only word that I can think is just inappropriate. And it's because of their stance within the community, that they should just not have that right. The members of the committee, absolutely. The guidance that they have, fabulous. And the same thing with the finance director. I think it's important that the finance director be there as well, but not in a voting capacity, but in a participating capacity. Any more than if we get an attorney to be present at the meetings, they're not going to vote. So they're more, not figureheads, just more input and informational and supportive, all the other reasons. But the other people who are on that committee should be the ones who are making the decisions and making the voting, because they're the players. They're the ones to whom this directly affects. So that's why the language was as convoluted as you may think it was. That's why it was put that way. And one other thing that you, which is totally going to leave me now, the line that you just took out, the committee shall be made up of 4 members appointed by the town council and 1 council member designated by the council. You want to keep that in. The only one who may be the holder of an elected office. So do not eliminate the rest of that sentence, but the council member being the only one who may be the holder of an elected office, because we don't want anybody else on that committee to be an elected office anywhere else in the town.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Okay.
Vin?
I don't know what conversation you had with the current finance director, and John puts in a lot of time in the minimal hours that he's here and elsewhere, but for financial impact on the town, to add that to a financial director's role, I'm just making sure people are aware of this, that he is not a salary position like the clerk's office that takes on more and more and more. But I'm just wondering if that's been brought to light as far as for him to, he, her, whoever, have to plan a meeting as a chair, draft an agenda, file appropriately or assign someone, and take that time out of his office time to the already large responsibility they have. I just mentioned that.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr.
I think there are 2 points, if I could. One, with deference to learned counsel, the principal function of at least the current existing pension committee has to do with the financial management of the pension fund. There was a conversation during the committee's or the commission's review as to whether this should be an employee benefits generally. And I think that the resolution was that to go much beyond retiree benefits intruded on the proper management role of the town council. That in terms of negotiating collective bargaining agreements and things of that nature. Now, I think, when we're negotiating, the town is negotiating a collective bargaining agreement, council is clearly appropriate, but I'm not sure that's within the setting of a retiree benefits committee unless you were to expand the scope, which I personally would not recommend. With respect to the role of the finance director, I think it's important that that person at least be in the room, in that retiree benefits is, as I said, a large line item within any budget, and in my opinion, is worthy of a singular focus. Thank you for your time.
Excuse me, may I ask Mr. Kennedy a question?
Please.
Is it your position that the solicitor shouldn't be at these meetings?
No, should not. I mean,
Okay.
I think this, at least in my own conception, this has to do with the financial management of the pension fund as it may evolve or as it exists now, and but the negotiation of collective bargaining agreements is the business of the town council, not the benefits committee, or retiree benefits committee. That would be my position.
He's right again. He's right again.
That's kind of what spurred my question. Do you have much, you don't take much management of pension committees and other communities?
No, we'll kick him on the side. That's correct. I actually think Mr. Kennedy is correct on that. I think it's
They're not
a financial issue.
They're not negotiating any,
Correct.
negotiating any contracts.
You really, I think, he's talking about the issue.
So can we amend the motion to take out the section about the solicitor's representative and maintain the rest of the language that's in there?
Sure.
And maybe, would you mind reading it, just so I know where we are?
Okay, so you made,
So everyone knows where we are.
you made a motion to, hold on, let me get to keep in, add one council member designated by the council, and remove none of which may be the holder of the elected office.
Okay?
And you left out the add the solicitor's office.
Okay. So, and we have a motion, and we have a second on that? Okay. And
Yes, Gary
we've had
seconded.
discussion, further,
Hold
Hold
on
on.
a second.
yep.
We're not changing 4 back to 3. Because this
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, you have to. So
Oh,
we'd have to
okay.
say,
Yep.
the committee shall be made up of 3 members appointed by the town council. And 1 council
And one,
member.
thank you, good catch, yeah. So that number has to go along with it
Say that
essentially.
again.
So it has to be, the committee shall be made up of 3 members appointed by the town council.
This proposal has struck out the word 3 and
Yeah.
added the word 4, so we'll go back to 3,
Yeah.
and then we're consistent. Okay, so motion, second, ready discussion.
Only one is appointed.
Yeah. Say that again?
Instead of none of which, one of which may be the holder of an elected office.
Or you could have it say, the committee shall be made up of 3 members appointed by the town council, comma, none of which may be the holder of an elected
There you go.
office.
Yep.
Can I redo this?
Yes,
How would you like that?
So
Yes.
I would suggest we say, the committee shall be made up of 3 members appointed by the town council, comma, none of which may be the holder of an elected office, comma, and 1 council member designated by the council, each to serve for a term of 1 year, and 1 member chosen by each collective bargaining unit, and so on.
Okay. We're going to vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. Next, item 707, We're moving along. Harbor Commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 710, Little Compton Housing Trust.
So this is what I was alluding to about absences. You got people, as Andrew so eloquently explained, some will be young people, some will be old people that are doing other things. Unfortunately, but I don't think anybody just says, oh no, I'm not going to go to the meeting because I don't want to. So here it says a member has 4 unexcused absences from the trust meeting in a calendar year, January. I believe it was, somewhere it said 6. Or it said 6 with the town council. So are we going to be coherent with everything in here, or is some boards and commissions going to have different amounts of?
Do you propose that we maybe just strike those last 4 lines essentially from if a member has 4 unexcused absences all the way to the forfeiture from the trust? Just strike that section?
Yes.
I would say so. We have enough trouble trying to get people.
I know. Excuse me. Go ahead, Leslie.
Think
Could you come up?
all of that
Could you come up? Just so people at home can hear, I'm sure there's millions out there tuned in, wrapped, waited on your every word.
I'm Leslie Fox. All of that wording is specifically from the Housing Trust bylaws. These were not new proposals. So if you're going to change anything, they have to change their bylaws. I don't know which comes first. But this is the way the Housing Trust, and I've checked with Patrick Owen and several others, this is what they want. And they had already made those changes about the forfeiture in their bylaws.
But then if they want to change the bylaws, this would supersede whatever bylaw changes they make in the future, right?
No, I've got to say, while we're talking about this section 710 says that they're a 501c3 organization, they're a non-profit corporation. That makes them an entity separate from the town itself. I'm wondering if we even need a section 710. They've been created, they're a 501c3, they have their own bylaws, so I'm wondering why you even need this section in the first place.
May I speak to this?
Sure.
So, this has always been a question that I've had. I believe this is the only, this organization was created by the town council, by ordinance, to comply with the, at the time that we were under pressure to amend our comprehensive plan to, when all towns had to come up with an affordable housing plan. Attorney Tights and Planner Shamoon recommended this as a means, creating a 501c3 corporation to comply with that. That was always in the ordinance. This was created by ordinance, not by charter originally. The town really had no say in creating this by the council decided this. We later put in a basic, we later added the charter section to include the housing trust. At the time, all the members were appointed by the council. I believe we have since, with only in the last several years, actually incorporated as a 501c3. I have looked, if you look at the bylaws about the membership, they're quite different than the council originally proposed, but the council has since, by my recollection, not so long ago, ratified the bylaws for 501c3. So I've always been confused about the authority of the town on the council's volition to create a 501c3 that the voters have approved. So I think you need to look at the Secretary of State, look at those bylaws, because they don't, they departed from what the town created quite a bit.
Thank you. Do we have a motion on this? I think we do.
No. solicitor look into that?
This one I would recommend at this point, because, you know, there, if you take a look at the state statutes when it comes to housing authorities, they're separate governmental entities, but their board of directors is always appointed by the city town council where they reside. Keep this in, get rid of the last four sentences, because that's taken care of in their bylaws. Any corporation, nonprofit or otherwise, is always governed by their bylaws. And, you know, I understand trying to make it conform, but I just don't think it's appropriate to be in this entity. All the other language has to do with how someone gets to be on the housing trust. That can stay for now.
So you're saying where it starts at the member,
Yep,
right down to forfeiture from the trust?
that's correct, yes.
I'll make a motion to strike that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry. Essentially the last four lines.
If the limit has four.
Well, that's two sentences.
Two full sentences. Yep. Okay, section 711, Historic Preservation Advisory Committee.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Section 901, Police Department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Section 902, Fire Department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Section 903, Director of Public Works.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Section 904, Chief Information Officer.
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I heard. All right, hold on. It's 904. Section 1006, Appointments, Qualifications, and Vacancies.
So, again, on 1006B, member of the Board of Commissioners shall be required to forfeit his or her office if he or she is disqualified from holding office under the terms of Section 1007 of this charter or attends no regularly scheduled meeting for a total of 4 meetings during any one-year period. So, I understand what the gist is of this, to try to get people, if they come forward to serve on a board of commission, to make sure they're dedicated, but sometimes when we put out requests for people to join boards and commissions, they don't even show up. So my feeling is one more thing, well, if that happens, then I'm gonna be taken off, so why should I apply? So that's my thought.
I mean, I think it's the duty of the chair of each commission to make sure that their members are actively engaged, and if they're not showing up, then I think the chairperson should reach out and say,
You're up.
are you okay, or, you know, what's going on? Can I help? So,
Sorry, Andy. Sorry, Heather. Next.
I appreciate Gary's comment a lot. I was on the Charter Review Commission and had kind of a busy schedule part of the semester, right? There's several meetings and some, I think 3 meetings in a row maybe.
You would be gone.
That's right. They brought that up when we were talking about it. But I said I could have gone to the town council and appealed my removal, see, and that says that in there. So Gary, if you have someone who's engaged and maybe they are missing some meetings, they can always come to the town council and say, this is why. To me, it just provides a way for you not to have a delinquent member that's holding a spot that's not contributing, and the town council then could act one way or the other. Maybe you want to amend it slightly so the town council has to take some affirmative action on that and let you decide at the time what that action is. But I think that it's very hard to get people in town to serve on things. You're exactly right about that. I think if you look at our elected slate coming up, right? Look at the moderator position, right? Okay? I mean, why don't we have younger people in town engaged in these I've talked to numerous people in town about some of these positions, and trying to get people engaged is really hard, but having someone appointed to something that's not there all the time, right, I think also creates an equally bad problem, because it tells people that it's okay not to show up. And so you have the out of someone appealing that to the town council. And then you all can then take the information and vote. So I don't think it removes them. I think what it does is says you might be removed. And the town council is going to look at this if you want to, or you're going to have to step down. And then it lets you appoint someone else, right?
Or they don't come in front of the town council and just say, well, I'm done. You know, and how do you know that that's his regular purview? I think it should be up to the chairman of the board of commission, if this has happened, to talk to him and, hey, say, you're either in or you're out. If you're out, let me know, so I go to the town council and tell them, you're out, we need to appoint somebody else. But I mean, if you ask him to come in front of the town council and feel him being put out, then you might as well say he's gone.
So do we have any motion on section 1? Oh, I'm sorry, Bonnie.
I just want to make one comment about what Andy was saying, is that by having this in, it gives the chairperson permission, so to speak, to have that conversation. Otherwise, there aren't really any guidelines. Thank you.
Carrie, what I
Yes.
was going to say, sorry, that's okay, is that Andrew very nicely put himself out there. I wasn't going to refer to him directly, but this, I can speak, this came up with a lot of inquiries about what can happen in this case. If there's, not communication or why they're not there. The boards are meeting, they're doing their hard work and everything, and it makes it difficult because sometimes you may not meet a quorum or something if somebody's not there. But if you repeatedly have someone that isn't coming for whatever reason, there was a lot of research done about what can happen, and I couldn't find, and I spoke to the solicitor about it, there wasn't like a lot of mechanism to make this person either you got to show up or not. So that's really, where this is coming from, that's all I'm saying. And the commission that dealt with this the most, tried to function as best they could if they were short. But.
Thank you.
I don't see where it says anywhere that he should go to the chairman or anything.
It's to the bottom of section B, Gary, 3 or 4 lines up. A member of a board or commission may appeal to the town council to retain his or her seat as a member due to extenuating circumstances.
Right, but I think Bonnie said that they could go to the chairman of the board that they were on and discuss it with him. I think it's up to the chairman to say, hey, you're in or out,
Do you want to make a recommendation to any change in section B?
No, Gary, you misunderstood. What I meant to say is that by saying 4 meetings, that means that as the chairperson, you can, it would open the door for me to go to the person who's missing all the meetings. Otherwise, there's no permission, so to speak, for me to do that.
Well,
This provides the guideline.
I know in other circumstances it's been 6 meetings, and I know this is only 1 meeting a month, but on the council we have 2 meetings a month, but...
Would you be more comfortable with that being a total of 6 if you change that?
Yeah.
Any other discussion on this one? You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to change it from 4 meetings during any 1-year period to 6.
Will you also, take, I think we should take the last sentence out too.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And take the last section, which starts in terms of forfeiture and ends with charter.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, we're almost there, guys. Section 1102, current title, transitional elections and appointment. Is there a proposed new title? They just took it away. You want to just read this?
removed it.
That was the transition.
Oh, this is just removing the entire, sorry, got it. I'm used to having a new title. This is just a proposed removal of section 1102.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Section 1103, current title, transfer of appropriations, same.
Motion to approve.
All in favor? Aye. Current section 1106, pending actions and proceedings.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor? Aye. So now we have a new list with some amended and some that didn't pass. Heather, you have all of that, and I'm confident. And
Please be prepared for the ballot at November. Oh, my Lord.
so having that work done, sorry, Mr. Rocha.
Can I just ask a
Yes,
question,
please.
Solicitor? Under 901 and 902, it speaks to that an appointee shall be given a contract for no less than 3 years and no more than 5 years. I don't believe we can do contracts any greater than 3 years. You can get a renewable after 3 years, but I didn't think you could give it beyond the 3 years.
That's what's already in there.
That's existing language.
It says that the contract can be no less than 3 and no more than 5. I don't believe we can give out a 5-year contract right off the bat.
Do I have to say one? I'm looking at, do I have 901?
That's experience, not a contract.
I'm looking at 3 years' experience above the rank of patrol, and that's replaced with 5 years command or supervisory experience.
Go to the next sentence.
That's existing language.
And I don't think that we can do that legally. We can't give contracts greater than 3 years, correct?
I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with that?
No, I don't. I don't agree with the statement.
So we can give out contracts greater than 3 years for employment?
Correct, yes.
I think you're incorrect on that.
Understood. Understood.
Thank you, Mike. So we've come to the end of the Home Rule Charter proposed amendments. Heather has a new revised list, and I'm going to wrap that up with a motion to direct the solicitor and the clerk to draft language for inclusion on the ballot in the charter.
And we have to close the public hearing.
No, we don't.
Close it again, yeah.
I'll second that motion.
That is my motion. Seconded.
Okay, for clarification purposes, Heather and I have to do two things. Number one, make sure that you have the appropriate language that would be included in the charter if the proposals are adopted by the voters. That's number one. Number two is we need to come up with the appropriate language for the ballot, for the referendum questions. And there is a deadline on that for August 5th. And that, to me, is the key one. That's how you let your voters know when they get in to vote what they're doing, but it has to be a summary. You've got a lot, there's going to be a lot of things on this ballot. It's going to be a long ballot. So we're going to do the best we can. We're going to have to do it in a short time.
Solicitor, are you comfortable with next Thursday's proposed meeting date for having the draft language for us to vote on again? Or would you like to push that? I know you don't want to go too close to August 5th, but do you want to go any further?
Close to August 5th. Thursday's the day I think you got to do it, and I'm sorry about that. And it means we're going to have to put a lot of time on it, but I'd rather have that earlier date instead of waiting until the last second. And actually, Heather, I'd like to get it a little early over to the Secretary of State in case there's any issues. Then we'll have some leeway to deal with it.
So we have a motion and a second on sending this to the solicitor and the clerk for language development. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you, everybody. New business 2, received letter of resignation effective immediately from Edward H. Bowen III from the Planning Board for his unexpired 4-year term ending February 1st, 2027, and post vacancy. I will move that we accept that letter of resignation with regret. Thank Mr. Bowen for his long service. I went back and looked to see when he started on the Planning Board. It was 2008, so That's 18 years of service on the planning board, and he's also served on several other boards and committees. So thank you, Mr. Bowen.
Second.
Did your motion include posting the vacancy?
It did. All in favor?
Right.
Aye. Okay, new business 3, request from the LC Agricultural Conservancy Trust, proposal to amend Appendix 7, transfer tax payment process. And I believe I have the chair of the Ag Trust, Don McNaughton, here to talk to us. Hi, Don, thank you for being here.
Hi, Don McNaughton, 551 West Main Road, and I am indeed the chair of the Ag Trust. The amendment to our standing rules is an addition of an appendix, which would be Appendix 7, entitled Transfer Tax Payment Process. This appendix clarifies how to properly calculate the transfer tax to be paid as stipulated by the state law establishing the trust. Importantly, this appendix provides that the Ag Trust confirm the transfer tax amount to be paid, thus aiding the Treasurer's Office. It does not place additional burden on work or work on town hall staff, and should not add any time to the closing or recording processes. It does require revision to the transfer tax form that the buyer submits, and as with any transition, that change may result in questions. Upon town council approval, we will send out an email with Appendix 7 and the revised form to real estate agents, brokers, and attorneys, put it on both the trust and town websites, and have copies of the form placed in the clerk's and treasurer's offices.
Don, could you also just give us a very brief summary of the travel of this, that it has been in a lot of meetings and discussed at length with the finance director, et cetera, and council on both parties?
Yeah, so we've been working closely with the treasurer's office, both John McNamee as well as Anita Kudo. We've been working with council, we've been working with the solicitor, we've met with the clerk, we've touched base multiple times with both the town council president and vice president. We've been at this now for a total of 18 months, and I'm hoping that we're in a place now where we can get this approved.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. I'm going to add just a letter. I'm not going to read it because I don't think anyone needs to hear me talk much more tonight. But I received a letter today from John McNamee, who couldn't be here for the meeting, writing his, to indicate his support for the proposed changes. And he goes on at length for why he thinks it's a good idea and is happy with the change. So I just want to add that to the conversation. So do I have...
So my concern is if a person has 6 lots, okay, and he acquired them at different times, but they may be contiguous, and each one of them's got a separate deed, and each one of them's been paid taxes on that separate lot, not as though 5 or 6 lots together, whatever I said. So he's been paying taxes on each lot. Your proposal is to combine all those, so only give him one exemption?
I'm going to turn that over to council and let her answer the question.
I don't think that's fair to the guy who's been paying taxes on a single lot, and then you're going to combine all 6 lots together and say you're only going to get one exemption, even though you've been paying taxes and they're recorded as a separate lot.
The question is an important one. And let me just say that, first of all, this...
Could you identify yourself? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay, just for the clerk.
The hour is getting, we're getting on the evening. I'm a little off my game here. Attorney Karen Browning on behalf of the Ag Trust.
Thank you.
The question is an important one. And I want to point out first that this proposed rules amendment, it does not change the Enabling Act. It does not change state law. It doesn't change anything about the calculation of the transfer tax. That all stays the same.
I understand that.
And I will get to your question. Please bear with me.
Yes.
The 2-page amendment that's before you, the first page is to simply explain what the transfer tax is. It quotes the State Enabling Act, and it also describes at the bottom section the process. The second page is the form. The form pre-exists. This is not a new idea. We clarified the form to make the math easier. To get to your question about how individual exemptions are applied, the state law in the Enabling Act, really it's the Enabling Act, is very, very clear, and I will read it to you. The tax is calculated based on the total aggregate collective conveyances, plural, transfers, transactions, number of deeds or other instruments, again plural, and the number of buyers or sellers participating. There's also language in there about contemporaneous transfers. So it really is going to depend case by case, transfer by transfer. If there's a transfer that comes in and it is comporting to treat what is, for example, being used as one lot, but somehow it has been separated out, whether it's dotted line lots, old lots that are mapped but not deeded, things like that are going to become important. Because if it is a contemporaneous transfer of all of the rights of a particular owner, then only one $450,000 exemption will apply. It's also important to know on the other way, if you sell part of your interest, that $450,000 exemption then gets prorated. But the law is very clear, it applies to contemporaneous transfers of interest. The plurals are there throughout the Enabling Act, and it is one exemption. So what will happen in your case, I don't know, I would need more facts. The form, that's why the form is spelled out with such information. We would need all of the information to look at it to determine it.
Under that, guys, I think we should push this to the solicitor for comment from him. Even though you say you talked to the solicitor, I'd like to get some comments from the solicitor. I don't want to see people, so we'll go back to the 6 lots. So they're each deeded separately. Maybe he's been paying tax on separately. If somebody sells one in January, and then in July he sells another one, and then the next January he sells another one, and so on until all 6 lots get sold, how is that going to be? How is that going to work?
That's a great question. And it's not at issue tonight. Tonight is just to put the transfer tax rule codified under the Enabling Act into the rules and regulations. What you're talking about and your concern comes after, once forms are filled out and given to the Ag Trust to interpret. And that then becomes my job, the trust job, the solicitor's job to make sure that no one is violating the law. And I can assure you that given all of the discussion and effort that has gone into this, and my offices and the trust research on the voluminous number of transfers that have happened that do not appear to have correctly calculated the tax, that we will be looking at this very carefully with the goal of 1, complying with state law, always, and 2, being consistent, so that everyone is treated consistently across the board.
Well, I think we discussed this a few years ago. Go ahead.
May I ask you a
Sure.
question? I think just to clarify things. I see the term contemporaneous. That means at the same time.
Correct.
Okay, so the example, one lot is conveyed out in January. In September of that year, another lot goes out. The next year, another lot goes out. In that circumstance, then, under this regulation, it would not be the combination. They have to be conveyed at once.
Correct.
Okay.
That you have to meet the Enabling Act's definition of the transfer tax and how it's calculated.
Okay, so Gary's example of conveyances that are not contemporaneous would not be captured by this change in in your regs.
It is very possible that when you fill out a form, the closing or the transfer contemplated at that moment should be fully filled out. I would never advocate for someone to purposely delay selling land or conveying interest in order to avoid the transfer tax. But yes, the contemporaneous language is in the act.
Can I make a comment here? I'm just trying to put this in English. You guys are legalese, it drives me crazy. Let's use Gary's example. You've got lot 1 through 6. You come in with lot 1, you fill out an application, and the neighborhood legislation triggers the tax over $450,000. The next day, you come in, and, hey, I'm going to sell my other lot. Don't you have to reapply all over again? Start like from scratch?
It really depends. There's so much other information that we would need. Historically, we have a history of taking what we're calling separate lots, for example, which in your mind, as you're sitting here, it seems like a clear idea. Separate lots, lot lines, deeds, things like that. Not always so clear. We have an issue historically where lots have been created historically, they've then been merged, or there's been an idea that they may have been merged. And then owners have then said, well, I never officially merged them, the assessor hasn't merged them, so I can sell them separately, when really they are merged. So again, I go back to the idea that the rules amendment before you tonight is just to codify the Enabling Act, the state law, and to give some clarity on the math and how to calculate the form. The interpretation and the application comes later, and those issues will arise as they will arise as people fill out the form and discussions will happen. But as always, again, the goal is consistency and compliance with state law. It's going to be a case-by-case basis.
Can I ask another, just a quick clarification question? Slightly off topic. And by the way, blame Mark Hartman for this one. Not the reg is recorded lots, and the form is assessor's plat and lot. Do you see any problem with that?
Where are you? I'm sorry, where are you?
In other words, Mark, the regulation you have references recorded lots.
I'm not seeing the language where Mark's pointing.
Mark?
That'd be under section 8, paragraph 3. As used herein, the total purchase price should mean aggregate consideration received by a seller or sellers collectively for the transfer of each recorded lot of real property, whether in a single conveyance or in separate contemporaneous conveyances.
That's correct.
Okay. Just a clarification.
Absolutely.
Little Compton real estate transfer tax form. It's with assessor's plat and lots. Or at least I'm assuming that first lot, plat and lot goes to assessor's plat and lot.
I'm not sure what the question is, but I'll tell you that that language that you're quoting is from the State Enabling Act. We did not draft that.
I'm not saying that. I just want to make sure that this discrepancy doesn't create an issue.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're pointing out a discrepancy between the Enabling Act and the form?
Yes.
Okay.
And
I'm on the first page, you're on the second page.
Okay. I don't even know if it is. I just want to raise that and make sure it's not an issue.
And the second one down at the bottom of the first page where it says the completed form shall be included with any request for municipal lien certificate intended for purposes of real estate conveyance or transfer. Can you explain that?
Yes, so right now, your municipal lien certificate that is issued today has language in it that says, I'm paraphrasing, hey, by the way, in addition to whatever taxes are indicated here, there may be an additional tax that is owed to the Little Compton Ag Trust. So what we decided to do in order to take the burden off of staff and give it to the Ag Trust to review these forms in the calculations was to say, what mechanism can we use to trigger the person involved in the conveyance to have to submit the form. And that's where the MLC became the easiest way to plug into the process, to make sure that everyone gets access to the form and everyone knows when it has to be turned in.
May I comment? I'm sorry.
Yes, miss, okay.
I'm the town clerk, and I have some concerns with this, which I've already expressed to a couple members of the Ag Trust based on the timing for recording of land evidence records, which the clerk's office is responsible for. And you made a statement just now about to remove the burden off of the staff. In my experience here and prior, the receipt of the Ag Trust document to be accepted via the Finance Department, formerly Treasurer, Tax Collector's Office, and the Clerk's Office, more so I'm speaking of the Tax Office, was never the intention to be a burden for them to review that. And I say that is that the instructions were always that it was understood many years ago that it was, an Ag Trust form. The town tax office was just the mechanism to receive that form. Here's our log, we fill it out, we stamp it, we send the person on. The last few years, some created it to be their own burden to determine whether it be acceptable or not, and that was not ever the intention of the town hall staff to do so, and I just want to put that out there, that I made this known that some staff members, current, previous, whatever, may have taken it on as their burden to determine whether it's acceptable or not, which is very unfortunate because it's caused some very lengthy interactions here in the town hall for those that come to do recordings when they should be able to do their recording. But anyway, my second point to this is where it talks about the submission of the municipal lien certificate time frame of the Ag Trust form to be, when that is requested. And anyone that is familiar with the process, or for those that are not, is that a municipal lien certificate sometimes is requested from the finance department upwards of 3 months in advance. And, then received, and then the attorney or the closing real estate agent, individual for that matter, would hold on to that and record that as part of the recording process for a deed. Which is not a requirement to have a deed recorded. I cannot refuse in the clerk's office a deed to be recorded without a municipal lien certificate. 90% of the time it's present, but there are times when either it wasn't requested ahead of time, or they didn't receive it in the mail in time, or for whatever reason. And then that comes in maybe a few days later, a week later, when it'll be recorded to satisfy that factor. So I did bring up my concerns with the hardship to many in this aspect of all this. And I'm not for or against the Ag Trust or anything like that, and I don't want it to be perceived as that, but I'm just really concerned, and I've been voicing my concerns for the clerk's office, from the clerk's office, for those that have to do this. Whether it be a real estate attorney, an individual for buyer or seller, the financial hardship or loss they may have if they thought that a closing was scheduled at 10 a.m. today here in the council chambers, to then go to the finance office and do their recording of the Ag Trust form, to then come to the clerk's office, and then by 10:30, the attorney saying, yes, send the wire. And I understand there's some mechanism that has to be put in place to clear this up, but this is really going to put a hardship on if you're requiring this to be done at the time of municipal lien filing, for those that have closing scheduled to be able to do the transactions as necessary.
Yeah, could I respond to that? If I may? I think I'd be able to clarify this for you. This in no way is related to any recording of a municipal lien, sir. This amendment, this form does not require a recording of the form or a recording of the municipal lien, sir.
Yes, but in here, if I'm reading it correctly, you're asking for the Ag Trust form to be submitted at the time of the request of the municipal lien certificate. Am I reading that inaccurate?
A copy of this form completed by a party to the transaction shall be included with any request for a municipal lien certificate. It goes on, but we'll stop there. So anybody that is a party to the transaction, at the time they come into your office, I assume whatever office they go in to get the municipal lien cert, would come in with a copy of the form. And they would say, I need a municipal lien cert, and here is my ag trust form. That's it.
Okay, I guess maybe I'm not being clear about the process and how a recording is done, or maybe a closing is done, and I understand we're not responsible for attorneys or real estate agents or a buyer or seller. We are the town. But the flow of a process for a closing, we live in Little Compton here, where a lot of our buyers or sellers don't even live here. And, you know, they may come into town for the closing, or they may come into town now, get everything, all the ducks in a row, the attorney goes back, okay, here we go, I'm going to have the closing or whatever. So I'm really concerned on the hardship this is going to cause for not only the town, but, you know, for the pushback that we're going to get, but also the fact that those that are involved, this is really going to be a problem.
Can I, sorry. Heather, can I try to understand more the specific issue that you're worried about? Because the transfer tax form will be filled out, submitted to the treasurer's office, signed by the Ag Trust upon confirmation, stamped by the treasurer's office, and then they go over to the clerk's office to record. And when they get to the clerk's office to record, they have the stamped and signed Ag Trust form, right? And then they go about recording just as they've always recorded. So I don't...
Well, my concern is that, and I'm not trying to belong this, but you just stated something, that a question that I had asked initially when one of the Ag Trust members reached out to speak to me. I said, what is the turnaround time for the Ag Trust person to review that?
Okay.
And I did not get an answer.
That is, well, I apologize for
So
that.
is it 48 hours? Is it 48 minutes? Is it 2 weeks? Because
Yes.
right there, you can't go in and file and then go into the clerk's office, ask for the municipal lien
That's-
certificate,
that
and then
is-
go to the clerk's office and file.
That is the sole reason why we're asking for the Ag Trust form to be submitted when they request the MLC. It has nothing to do with the MLC or what happens to the MLC. It's just that if they can submit the form at the time they request the MLC, while the treasurer's office is preparing the MLC, the Ag Trust will then be confirming the transfer tax to be paid. So we're simply using the time that the MLC takes to be prepared for the Ag Trust to confirm. That's why we built it into the process that way, so there's no extra time being added to the process. We'll confirm while the treasurer's office is issuing the MLC.
Okay, I still believe that there's a time problem there because, as I said, MLCs sometimes are requested 3 months in advance, sometimes they're requested a week in advance. The attorneys come in and pick up the MLC.
Yep.
And to get that Ag Trust form signed, we already, it's not really our problem, but we already are presented on a regular basis with a deed to be recorded.
Yep.
And we go, where's the MLC? Where's the Ag Trust form? What do you mean? Because not a lot of people know about the Ag Trust form. We educate them, that us in Block Island, and then it's a scramble to get that Ag Trust form done. And so I'm just bringing up the fact of timing is really, I believe, from my experience, going to cause a hardship to people on their closings.
Okay, I would,
Can
I think we've built a process. Well,
Can
okay,
I-
sure,
As
come
soon
on
as
up.
Dawn is done, you're next.
Go ahead.
All right.
No, I was saying as soon as Dawn is done, because he was in the middle of a sentence. Dawn, please. I'm sorry, Dawn. I was just letting her know she was next.
I think we have tried to build a process that accepts the fact that we are not trying to add any time to the process. And I know that you've got concerns about that, and I appreciate that. I would just like to point out that the number of instances in which the Ag Trust believes that the improper tax has been paid over the last number of years has grown and grown to a point where that is the hardship, that people are not being dealt with equitably in town. So there is a difference in the amount paid case by case, and that shouldn't be the case. So while I understand that there might be, with this transition to the new process or a different process, there might be some burden. I'm telling you, the burden that the town already feels in not equitably collecting the tax, in my opinion, is much larger than that specific issue. But, I think this is where the Ag Trust and the clerk's office and the town treasurer's office should all work together, and if there are problems, we'll fix the problems. But right now, we have a problem that's not been addressed for years, and we're trying to address it.
Thank you, Don. Denise?
Yes, Denise Cosgrove, I'm tax assessor, and I work closely in the finance department. And over the years, for almost 20 years now, I've seen this problem get worse and worse. So when an MLC comes in usually with plenty of time. I don't remember the exact time frame, but Anita has quite a bit of time to respond to an MLC. I think it's 10 days or 12 or 20 days, but I'm not exactly positive on that. So having a form from the Ag Trust coming at that time is I think, very important, and it will stop a lot of questions on her end, and I think it'll save a lot of aggravation. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. I'm going to add, I wasn't going to read John McNamee's letter, but since we've heard from the clerk and the tax assessor and the Ag Trust and everyone, I feel like I should read it just so John has heard on this. I'm speaking in John's voice what he wrote to me today. I am writing to indicate my support for the proposed changes to the transfer tax assessment policy to be presented by Mr. McNaughton at tonight's town council meeting. We have been discussing these changes for months, and the result will be a more accurate transfer tax assessment, since representatives from the Ag Trust will be reviewing the tax calculation prior to the finance department processing the collection of such taxes. This will result in a more accurate MLC for the payment of the transfer tax prior to the recording of property transfer. As you are aware, the past practice was for the tax collector to receive a signed document from both the buyer and the seller on the amount of the tax based on a predetermined formula. When received by the tax collector, a recalculation of the tax due was prepared based on the agreed-upon formula. No additional support was being provided. If a dispute as to the amount of the transfer tax was determined by the Ag Trust, it would be after the transaction was complete and the tax was paid, if any. Under the proposed changes, the form that is being used to calculate the transfer tax will still be signed by the buyers and the sellers, but a representative from the Ag Trust will sign off on the transaction prior to the payment of the tax. Accordingly, any disputes will be addressed in a timelier manner prior to the closing. The proposed changes will not add any additional burden to the staff and finance office, since we will process the payment of such taxes in the very same manner as we always have done, but now we have sign off by an Ag Trust representative on the form. Respectfully, John McNamee, Finance Director. Larry.
So as Don knows, and as other members of the Agricultural Conservancy Trust know, this issue, I've been before the Agricultural Trust for 25 years on this one. The poison pill was when the law was amended in 1999 by adding the phrase "each recorded lot" to languages created by the trust lawyer at the time, the contemporaries language. The council wouldn't pass it, wouldn't send it to the legislature without adding that "each recorded lot." That problem has festered to the point of, and trust me, no, I was going to trust meetings and finding mistake after mistake and filling out forms, but by then they were recorded and there's no mechanism in this to correct a mistake. But the real problem now is the equity problem, because as we've increased the exemption from 75,000 to 150 to whatever to 450, if there's a mistake, that inequity in the application, which is mistakes, that's one of the mistakes that's being made either by intention or just confusion. People are paying substantially different taxes based on mistakes or or the multiplication of lots. I'll give you an example, it's not to single it out, but when the vineyard was last purchased, that's 11 lots in a contemporaneous purchase. If that property is sold, that's 11 times 450,000. The exemption on that is millions of dollars compared to the same dollar amount for a property in one parcel. We don't deal with the property taxes that way. So the equity problem, the fairness, if we were applying the same system to our property taxes, it'd be a riot in town hall. So something has to be done, and the only other precedent for this in Rhode Island is Block Island Land Trust, which has very similar language. They have been following this system where the trust signs off on the accuracy of the form. They've been doing that for 40 years. I mean, I imagine that the closing things for a place you have to fly in to do a closing are pretty complicated, but they figured it out. So we either have to do this, or we have to go back and amend the law.
Thank you, Larry. Do I have a motion on
I make a
this?
motion to approve this.
My motion was to...
I'm sorry.
Please.
Heather, what was Larry's motion? Could you read
Can I
that?
make one?
You started to say including with the NLC, but you didn't finish.
I thought I made a motion to get some more clarification for this from this.
Oh, I'm sorry, you did, yes, I apologize, let me turn the page. Yes,
Was there a second?
no. You made a motion to refer to the solicitor for further review and comment.
I mean, I think Heather's made some comments that I think need to be cleared up so that this is a smooth and orderly transition between departments downstairs. And I understand that previously the Ag Trust didn't look at their, and I may be wrong, you can correct me, didn't look at their exemption form before the deeds were recorded, and they're trying to do that now. But what's happened in the past is in the past, and whether this is going to resolve that, I don't know. So that's why I'd just like to have some answers from the solicitor before we go sign something that, like my situation, if you got 10 lots and you sell them all at the same time, but you've been paying separate taxes and then deeded separately. Well, the trust lawyer says, well, we don't know how that's going. We have to see it before we can make a determination on that. In my mind, it's pretty clear. You got 10 lots that you've been paying taxes on separately, they deeded separately, and now if you sell them all at once, it's contemporaneous, and you're going to get taxed on each one of those? Is that how it is, or?
So we have a motion and not a second, and we have done. Go ahead, Don.
Gary, I appreciate your concerns. Having looked at the various transfer tax transactions for the past 5 to 10 years, that issue is not one of the issues that has come up time and time again. So I'm not saying that that may not occur, but that has never occurred in my memory, and I admit that it could be faulty at times. So I don't think that your particular scenario is one that has ever been brought to my attention. So I'm sure we can create other scenario that might cause some level of confusion, but 99.9% of the transactions that are carried out with this process are pretty rote, and there are many instances of people misapplying the transfer tax exemption, as well as taking a $450,000 exemption when they're only purchasing a fraction of the property. Those are the two that I see time and time again. So, again, not to say that your issue may not come up in the future, but if it does, we'll deal with it. But that is not sort of top of mind for me.
I just would like to say that I have issue with the equity piece of this. That's what bothers me the most when we look at the transfer tax exemption amount. you know, in my mind, raising it as the Ag Trust did, well, wait, was it 2-3 years ago to 450, in my hope was that it would make housing a bit more affordable for the first-time home buyer who gets an exemption of 450, not for the person who batches all their lots together and takes multiple exemptions. So whether it's intentional or accidental, I think we have an equity problem, and I think that's worth noting.
So should we allow the solicitor to come back with some kind of recommendation to us?
Are you proposing we continue it pending some feedback from the solicitor?
Yes.
How about contingent upon the solicitor's review?
Continue it contingent upon the solicitor.
Approve it.
I'd rather have the solicitor come back and give us his explanation about what all these things are going to do. I mean, you've been working on it for 18 months, another couple of weeks.
I understand that.
Well, in another meeting, we will also have a full council, which would be good to have a full council here before it.
Okay.
One last point. Tony and I work together a lot. We have a great relationship. I always appreciate input from his office. But I will say in this instance, this particular work has been going on for a long time. Mr. DeSisto's office has been given copies and has had the language to review, and going forward, if it is an interpretation question that we're looking for legal advice on, with utmost respect to my brother, that's my role. I am counsel for the Ag Trust. That buck stops with me, with the understanding that if Tony ever called me and said, we have an issue we need to discuss, I will listen and we will discuss that. But my role is to represent my client and to interpret this issue and the issues that come up, the hypothetical included when it comes up, if it comes up, at that time.
Thank you. Tony, can you jump in? Thank you.
That's legalese from Karen, which basically says she's sick of dealing with me. After we get done with, what we're going to be doing on with the charter provisions, then I'll be able to take this up and be ready for the next regular meeting.
So Gary's made that motion to continue attending the solicitor's review and reporting recommendation. Do I have a second on that?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's see, Ag Trust, number 4, new business 4, options for 2026 paving program and potential vote on RFP. Anya?
I'm going to recommend, because it's the one meeting that we can postpone this to your next regular meeting.
Motion to postpone this agenda item to the next town council meeting.
All in favor? Aye. Number 5, request for approval of RFP for paint removal and repainting DOT garage located at 144 Willow Ave.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 6, Anya is on this one. Request to apply for state funding for an EV charger.
I'm going to pull the same card on this one and suggest that we put.
Motion that we push this forward to the next scheduled council meeting.
All in favor? Aye. Number 7, request for approval of hiring a DPW employee. Anya's given us a letter with her recommendation and the recommendation of the department head, Ted Boddington. Do I have a motion on this?
Yeah, so the only question I had on this is how many people will that bring into the maintenance department, Ted? Good.
You want me to speak to?
Just worried about the union contract.
Anya, do you want to speak to the union contract? I think you were.
Or Ted can. Before Ted talks, though, I just want to make sure that you know, there is a typo in my memo. I said Ian had been working part-time. He's want to correct that, and then Ted can.
In what we're looking to do, we obviously have one person out on medical. And then we lost our part-time
transfer station employee abruptly one day. Looking to replace that body with a full-time body, basically. So it will give me 5 total, including myself.
And I have no problem with that. I just don't want to have an arbitration coming up that there's only 3 people in the union contract that you can have, or is there 4?
Actually, yeah, I'm taking a look at the last contract you have with this particular bargaining unit, and there's no limit.
Okay.
Doesn't identify who is in the collective bargaining agreement. What happens is it states that the employer hereby recognizes and acknowledges that the union is the exclusive representative for all employees, classifications and categories of work covered by this agreement for purposes of collective bargaining.
So there's no set amount of people that are in the
No, but
DPW?
so long as you know, once this the fellow gets this employment, he's in the union.
Yeah.
Understood.
And I assume that whatever limits would be put on is up to the council,
Yeah, it's not in the agreement.
right? It's not in the contract, so
Okay, I'll make motion to approve.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Number 8, receive letter of retirement from Captain Randall Watt, who has served the town for 30 years on the Little Compton Fire Department.
Motion to accept with regret, and I will say one thing. Randy Ward has been temporary fire personnel for us for 30 years. And I wish everybody down there, every fireman could, he set an example for and would be like him. So I wish he was here tonight.
Second.
Thank you, Captain Watt, and congratulations on your retirement, 30 years. That's quite a,
Somebody, I thought
I don't think there was a motion. I think,
He made the motion.
what is the motion? Sorry.
Accept with regret,
Okay. Sorry. And you seconded, Paul?
and send a letter of,
Oh, it's
thank you.
better. All right, Heather, you got that?
Yes, is it?
Seconded by Paul? Yep, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. New business 9, Town Common Needs Assessment Committee. This was put on the agenda by Counselor McHugh, who would have liked to have been here and was unable to. So I propose that we continue that to a future meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 10, request from tax assessor Denise Cosgrove, Melissa Bear Appraisal Consulting LLC proposal to provide mass appraisal consulting services.
So is this somebody that's going to be looking for an assessment company?
Denise, do you want to speak to that, please?
This consultant I'm hoping to solicit here is independent of the appraisal company. She's going to look at the data we have, help me to draft the RFP so that it encompasses everything we need it to encompass. And she's going to review what the appraisal company that we do put the RFP out and get the bid, award the bid to, she's going to do what they've done in addition to me. So she's going to work in tandem with me to make sure that everything is copacetic.
And Denise, am I right in understanding that in addition to your appraisal budget, you also have a budget for professional services that this would fall under?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So it's $175 an hour. So that budget you have for outside services, it's not going to go over that budget?
Correct.
Okay. All right, motion to approve.
On paper? Aye. Number 11, presentation by Steve Lubar, Stonewall Stewards. It's my understanding that Mr. Lubar will not be presenting tonight. Instead, he will present at a future meeting, likely in conjunction with Luke Driver.
Motion placed on file. Second.
Could you come to the podium, please, and give us your name, please? I know your name, but just for the folks at home.
So Steve is the president of, I'm the president of the Stonewall Stewards, the chairperson.
Name.
Steve is.
I know who you are, but
It's late, Donna, for all of us.
Whatever. So I'm the chairperson of Stonewall Stewards. Steve, we agreed to come with, when Luke is here, And Steve is the treasurer, so I am requesting now that instead of Steve speaking, that I'm requesting of the council that I can say a few words on behalf, not of Stonewall Stewards, but of Little Compton Community Center. I'm the chair of the building committee, and I just have a few words.
Solicitor, if this is not an agenda item, can we entertain that?
This item is Stonewall's.
Okay, then can I, after you do this, can I ask to speak on behalf of the community center?
We don't have it as an agenda item tonight, so I'll defer to the solicitor again on that.
I did submit a request to speak, and I was on the agenda and was taken off the agenda, so now I'm making a verbal request. So I guess you have to say, yes, Donna, you can talk, or no, you can't.
Okay, the technical answer is no, because it's not on the agenda that was posted. That's the first thing. I can tell you, I did speak with Ms. Pilkington before the meeting. I understand you're going to be meeting with her.
Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
And this relates to a matter, a contractual matter for a lease that has not yet been executed. So to the extent that you are not on the agenda, it is on the advice of counsel, because I want to see that lease finalized before we discuss anything.
Okay, but what I told you, counsel, when we were coming in outside, is I am not talking about the lease.
I understand, but here we are talking about something that's not on the agenda. I don't want to have an open meetings violation, and it's not on the agenda.
Whose decision was it?
Mine.
That was your decision.
My decision, yes.
I'm sorry, Donna, but we can talk tomorrow morning and get it on a future agenda once we have our, I think, with the solicitor's advice with the leases.
To an email about what is the agenda. I know that there's a meeting, but I don't know. So
I don't have an agenda for the meeting. I was invited to the meeting and I will be at the meeting. I will be at the meeting.
Okay.
I will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Board of License Commissioners, none. Communications 1, letter of request from the United Congregational Church for use of Town Landing for an in-person beach service on Sunday, August 23rd, 2026 at 10 a.m.
Motion to approve with all local and state ordinances adhered to.
Second, sounds like charter.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 2, request from the Nature Conservancy for an evening viewing of the Perseid meteor shower at Town Landing on August 12th, 2026. Rain,
Same motion.
August 11th,
Second.
2026. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 3, request from Little Compton Celebrates America 250 to honor and name Caroline Wilkie Wardell as Little Compton's town crier. I would like to make the motion to approve naming Carolyn Wilkie as the town crier and charge the clerk to draft a proclamation to that effect.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Request from Buzzards Bay Coalition for use of Veterans Field on Sunday, October 4th, 2026 for their 20th annual watershed ride.
Motion to approve with all local and state ordinances adhered to.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, receive email of gratitude for beach manager Jim Farrell for his outstanding team and the entire beach commission for hosting the Little Compton Community Center at the beach on June 25th, 2026 for their S'mores at South Shore event.
The town council would like to thank Jim for all his services that he does on these extracurricular situations. And you know how to write that in.
Motion to place on file.
No, there was a motion to thank Jim from the town.
Motion, a letter of thanks to be drafted from the council.
Right.
Okay.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Number 6, request from Newport County Prevention Coalition to display their awareness banners/flags within the town between August 28th and September 3rd, 2026 to recognize International Opioid Overdose Awareness Day.
Motion to approve, but I'd like to know where these are going to be placed.
Second. Discussion we have
All right.
here. And
All right, Polly, I will.
Polly, thank you for sticking this out.
Yeah, so that's fine with me.
Am I right in understanding this is an annual request that?
An annual event, I think this might be the 5th time.
Yep.
Holly Allen, South Commons. And in previous years, we've done them right on Pikes Peak. Last year, we deferred to the 350th, had something going on. But Pikes Peak is the ideal location. It really brings awareness to the situation and reduces the stigma around opioid use disorder. And I would like to add that in 2022, in Rhode Island, we had 436 deaths due to opioid overdose. Through a lot of people's work, including the Prevention Coalition, we still lost a lot of people, but it's down to 219 last year. So, and I believe that's through a lot of work, reducing stigma and making things like this public.
Thank you.
The motion was to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Polly. Number 7, thank you letter from the Military Order of Foreign Wars of the United States, Rhode Island Commandery, for the generous donation from the town for their Purple Heart Monument at the Veterans Cemetery in Exeter.
Motion filed.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Payment of the bills.
Motion to pay the bills. Second.
All in favor?